Alrighty. Well, we've been talking about some powerful principles about selling, and I tell you, it's something that's not taught in schools properly. Something that's not really taught and talked about. Usually, it's in a negative connotation. And so, I want to just give you some very simple, practical things about sales statistics. Sales statistics. Now, I want to make a powerful statement that literally I kind of thought about, but never really until early this morning. The Lord's meditation just gave it to me. I was like, wow, never thought about it quite that way. And so I want to start off with this very powerful statement that I need you to write it down. Write it if you're driving, of course, obviously you can't, but write it on the tables of your heart and allow this to sink in deep. Because I'm going to tell you something, your future success is dependent on you grasping this concept and utilizing it. And that is simple, and it's very simple, and it's this. Because the sales statistics that I'm going to give you, the first one is that 90% of all people have some type of negative feelings when it comes to selling. 90% of people or more have some type of negative feelings. I mean, what about yourself, by the way? Now, we've been retraining our brain by covering these different things on sales. As a matter of fact, make sure you go to www.theinternetmentor.com. Theinternetmentor.com. Of course, they're called The Art of Selling Without Selling, or How to Sell Without Being a Sellout. Right? And but anyway, so if 90% of all people have some type of negative feelings about selling, then here's the statement that you've got to get, and that is this. As much as you despised improper selling, you should love the real type of selling. Let me say it again. As much as you despise the improper, because again, most of us, we thought this selling is some loud talking. Someone's not, someone's going to overpromise and then underdeliver, right? Someone is just trying to make money from us. And I don't mind people making money or receiving their just due when they provide a service, but I don't like it when someone's trying to do something just so they can make money, and it's not something that's in my best of interest. We don't like somebody who's, again, trying to convince us, trying to talk us into something that we don't want. That's not selling. And the sad thing is that's the concept that we have in our mind. And I said it before, I'll say it again. That was not done. Listen now, it was not done accidentally. That's on purpose. It's on purpose that you would be trained by television, trained by every commercial, trained from the time you're just knee high from a grasshopper. I hadn't heard that phrase in a while, but anyway, that you've been trained to love buying and purchasing things, but you've been simultaneously trained and ingrained to be against selling. It's amazing. Who do you think? Whose interest is at the best? I mean, think about that for a minute. So again, if 90% of all people have some type of negative feelings about selling, then this concept, this thought, again, as much as you and I despise improper selling, then you and I should love the proper type of selling that much more. And we need to hear it over and over and over again. Why? Because we got to reprogram, we got to retrain our brain. Our brain, people say brainwash. No, our brain has been dirtied with false information, literally what I call indoctrination, that is keeping us from the truth. And so we have the truth, that we're giving it to you now. And I'm so glad of many of the texts and calls that I've been getting from people that have been enjoying this. And so let's talk about these sales statistics. Let's put a cap on this thing and make you understand that you're at the right place at the right time, but you're going to have the right frame of mind and take the right action. Because, again, if 90% of all all people have some type of negative feelings, then there's no wonder there's a funny feeling in your heart. No wonder people in the home-based business, they want to say, no, I'm not selling. I don't like selling. And then they wonder why they can't recruit. Well, recruit is nothing but selling, my friend. So you understand, you see what's going on now? it's like a self-sabotage. And by the way, at www.theinternetmentor.com on the art of selling without selling, that's one of there's 6 different modules, and one of them is on selling sabotage. And my wife said to me, baby, I like all of your training, but that's got to be the best. And my older son said the same thing. So, and you'd have to know my son. He's kind of like his dad. He just tells you the truth. So if he said that, it's got to be the deal. So anyway, all right. So write these statistics down, because it'll change your life and give you a different perspective and help you. So again, when we talk about sales, we're literally talking about service. We're talking about being of service. We're talking about, my friend, like the statement I made yesterday, money flows freely and frequently from expected and unexpected sources in exchange for the value that I consistently bring to the marketplace. So the key is all about bringing value. Like my main mentor, Bill Bailey, who passed, who I asked him, what in the world did you do to make $64 million a month? He said, young Dr. Breakthrough, you're asking the wrong question. I said, okay, I apologize. What's the right question? He said, you should have asked me how many people's lives I added value to that resulted in $64 million a month. He said, you see, young Dr. Breakthrough, and of course I was young then, but he said, if you master and get good at bringing value to the marketplace, you can't help but eventually receive value back from the marketplace. So I'm telling you, my friend, you have to understand. So here it is. Write this down. This will blow your mind. 2%, get this now, 2% of sales are made on the first contact. We should say only 2%. Only 2% of sales are made on the first contact. And do you see why now you might not be good at recruiting? Because see, you think one time and it's done. No. See, watch this, my friend. If only 2% of sales are made on the first contact, then that means you can just almost bank on it that when you first talk to somebody, when you first present your book, your CD, your series, when you first present your product, your service, you can almost bank on it. Only 2%, if only 2% of sales are made on the first contact, that means most people aren't going to move on the first contact. So why is it that people get blown away? Then because they don't understand human nature. They don't understand the statistics. And so if you get these statistics, it may help you to understand. Now, only 3% of sales are made on the second contact. Think about that. So only 2% on the first, but only 3% of sales are made on the second contact. So that means if people throw in the towel after the first, that means they're never going to get to the second. So only 3% are made on the second contact. Watch this. Only 5% of sales are made on the third contact. Wow. We need to let that one set in for a second. Because this, my friend, well, let me show you this. And let's just think for a while. Can we think out loud? Is that okay? If only 2% of sales are made on the first, and only 3% are made on the second, and only 5% of sales are made on the third contact. Listen to this. Only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts. Oh my goodness! Do we get something now? Do we understand something? See, if only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts, that means, my friend, when you understand that only 5% of sales are made on the third contact, and only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts, that means most people think they're not good at sales. No, it's not that you're not good at sales. You're not good at being consistent. You're not good at understanding numbers. You're not good of really understanding the way, excuse the expression, the game is played. So here we go. Now, watch this. I said only 10% of salespeople make more than 3 contacts. Well, think about this. Only 10% of sales are made on the 4th contact. Only 10, okay? So if only 10% of sales are made on the 4th contact, and there's only 10% of salespeople who make more than 3 contacts, then you'll see now why a lot of people, some people, we were ingrained to be negative against sales, but watch this now, watch how slick this is. Then they have their negative impulses or negative assumptions, the negative training verified, so-called, because of their own experience. Do you see how this is working? Oh, this is deep right here. This is this might be too deep for y'all this early in the morning for some of you. And here, if you're on the West Coast or you're here at Central Time, some of you in Eastern Time, you're fine. But right, but this, if you get this, I'm telling you, my friend, it will change your perspective and help you to understand. You're not bad at selling. You're just bad at following up. Oh, that's a breakthrough right there. Okay? All right, here we go. Now watch this. If you're understanding what I'm saying now, it's about to get a little bit deeper. So, get this now. 25% of salespeople make a second contact and then stop. Now remember, we said what? Only 3% of sales are made on the second contact. So 25% of salespeople make a second contact and then they stop. By the way, these are statistics, by the way, from the National Sales Executive Association. That's the source for this. Think with me now. Think with me now. Is that not incredible? So think about it again. If you have been trained and had selling knocked out of you, because remember I said you were born as a child, you were a natural salesperson, right? But you had it knocked out of you. So now you've been ingrained and trained and brain dirtied to be against, yeah, I said it right, brain dirtied to be against selling, which is actually helping to be against part of your success. So watch this now. So now you give it a shot, though, and in giving it a shot, your experience seems to validate and add proof to what you've been trained and what you thought and what you see how this. So now you are convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt that this selling thing, this just is not for me. But again, 25% of salespeople make a second contact and stop. Okay? Now, watch this. 48%, this is heavy, of salespeople never, N-E-V-E-R, 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect. Never. Isn't it amazing? 48% never follow up. Now, remember, we said only 2% of sales are made on the first contact. Well, 48% of people never follow up with a prospect. Then what does that mean? That means there's no sale. That means they're now convinced that the selling thing is not for them. And if 25% of the people only make a second contact and stop, and only 3% of sales are made on the second contact, matter of fact, they said there's only 12% of salespeople who only make 3 contacts and stop. So think about that. That's, you take 48%, You add 12 to it, that's what, 60. You add 25, that's 85. That's 85% of the people in sales that between giving up on the third contact, never following up with a prospect. Think about that. Remember now, our foundation, only 2% of sales are made on the first, 3% on the second, 5% are on the third. Wow. You see what's going on? Okay. So let's get to the juice. This is the real juice. This is the juice that'll just blow your mind. And here it is. I love this because I hated it so much. I hated the improper. See, Psalm 97:10, ye that love the Lord hate evil. See, the more you love God, the more you have this disdain for anything that's against or not like God. Come on, somebody. So the more you despise, like I did, improper selling, then once your eyes are open, once the scales have been pulled back, now you have this love, this, excuse the expression, love affair now with the proper type of selling. But when you factor in sales statistics now that'll give you some, so you can be strategic about this thing. That's one thing my wife, one of her favorite words about being strategic, right? So being strategic about this thing, wow. Then here you go. Here it is. That is this. 80%. Now, I know you're probably, some of you will listen to the recording. Some of you are on here live, and obviously you're muted. But I want you to repeat after me, even though, unless, of course, you're carpooling with somebody. Well, no, say it out loud because they need to know. But anyway, say 80%. Come on, say 80%. Okay, here we go. So say what I say. So 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. Come on, say it with me. Ready? 80% of sales are made on the 5th to the 12th contact. One more time. 80% of sales are made on the 5th to the 12th contact. Now, didn't we just talk about 85% of people give up between the third and the second? So if 85% of people are giving up and 80% of sales are made to between the 5th and the 12th contact, then, my friend, therein lies your breakthrough. It's breakthrough time, my friend. You just got your breakthrough. See, you've got to have between 5 and 12 contacts. So it might be a postcard. It might be a text, the initial. It might be a phone call. You understand what I'm saying, my friend? Your problem is not that you're not good at sales. Your problem is not that you're against sales. Your problem is, my friend, you haven't been strategic. Your problem is you didn't understand the stats. So now somebody said if folks knew better, they could do better. So help me. So now let me empower you that now you can do better, knowing ahead of time that 80% of sales are going to be made between the 5th and the 12th contact, which means if you're going to present something to someone, then you're going to have to do it at bare minimum 5 and up to 12 contacts. Now, that's 80%. So if you want to get even better than that, you might need more than 12. Right? But that's why it's powerful to use things like some people have things like autoresponders, right? And one company I work with that I personally sponsored 898 people that grew to 1.5 million people. One of the beautiful tools that I used was an autoresponder. That company, they sold that, and that autoresponder would just drip on people, just drip, 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 right? And I'm telling you, my friend, if you understand this, then and here's what I don't want to bother people. Well, it's not bothering people. Again, if you understand that you have something of value and that you have a moral responsibility, like Solomon teaches, you have a moral responsibility to sell something of value to people that you value. If you understand that, my friend, and you understand, see, you want to learn, by the way, here's another powerful phrase, and one day I'll just break the whole thing down and do a whole training on this, but you got to learn to work with human nature instead of against it. Let me say it again. You've got to learn to work with human nature instead of against it. All righty? So working with human nature is understanding. If you understand that that 80% of sales are going to be made between the 5th and the 12th contact. That's just human nature. Why is it like Jim Rohn said? I wouldn't sign up for that why stuff. I wouldn't sign up. It just does. So if that's the case, I know I've got to be consistent. If that's the case, I know that I've got to be persistent. If that's the case, I know I've got to give some people time and let it. So again, so maybe the first contact is something they notice I posted on social media. Maybe another one is inboxing them through Messenger. Maybe a third one is now through a text. Maybe a fourth one is a phone call. Maybe a fifth one is me meeting in person. Maybe a sixth. You know what I'm saying? It's going to take between 5 and 12 contacts to get 80% of the sales. And that's, again, most people kind of think, no, not kind of, they're convinced I thought something was wrong with selling. I gave it a shot and it really didn't work for me. So there's no way you can convince me. Well, because your experience was a limited experience, you got to change your perspective. See, watch this now. If I write a 6, right? If you curve, make a 6, curve it and make a 6. As a matter of fact, go ahead and get a piece of paper and do this real quick. Let's just have fun as I get ready to close out. And this will seal the deal. How's that? All right. So I'm going to grab a piece of paper myself. I've done it I don't know how many times. I'm going to do it again. And I want you to write a 6, like a curvature, curved 6, right? All right. So you got a 6, right? So it's all about perspective. Okay. It's all about perspective. So now take this piece of paper you have or whatever you wrote it on, and you see your 6. Now, what I want you to do is you can do one or two things. You can walk around on the other side of where you are now, and that's what I'm doing, getting up out of my chair, I'm coming over here, and now that 6 is a 9, okay? Now, some of you that maybe aren't as energetic, you can just turn your paper around. That's right. He's like, Doc, I ain't doing all that. Okay, so you got your 6. Now just turn your paper upside down, and now it looks like a 9. So guess what? So the perspective. So you could argue. Somebody could argue day and night. No, that's you. They say that's a 9. You're like, no, that's a 6. I see it. I'm telling you, I've experienced. It's a 6. You're like, no, it's a 9. No, it's a 6. And so what you're trying to do is you're going to argue based on your experience and your perspective. But if you just are willing to move a little bit and come around from this side, come on now. So what I'm saying is you've been on that side when you heard all the negativity. You've been on that side when you've been ingrained. You've been on that side where you had some bad experiences. You've been on that side where you gave it a shot, and that's part of the problem. I tried it. Yeah, the try is the lie, remember, and the try is the die. You got to make a commitment. Watch this now. And when you make a commitment, all of a sudden the light comes on and things start opening up. And that's why some of you made a commitment, and that's why I believe God gave this training to me to give to you so your eyes might be opened, and because he's responding to a commitment that you made. See, trying, no. Trying says, okay, once I give it a shot, now my mind says, I gave it a try, it didn't work for me. But no, commitment says, I will until. I will until. So watch this, my friend. So now, watch this. Now you start gathering additional information. Now your mind is still open. And so for instance, there's some people that will hear this and they'll totally shut it down. Totally shut it down. Why? Because they're like, I don't want to hear nothing about no selling. That's the way I was. I don't want to hear nothing. And I even tried it, didn't work. It's not for me. But listen, if you're really sincere and your mind is open and now you're understanding, again, that one, well, actually between the two things, one, as much as you despise improper selling, you've got to love the proper way of selling when you understand it. When you understand 90% of all of us have some negative type of feelings about selling. But then when you understand 80% of sales are made between the 5th and the 12th contact, and if you have some negative feeling, most people aren't committed to going 5 to 12 times, then because of the law of averages and the law of numbers, again, I'm not talking about I'm super buggy. I'm talking about coming from different ways. And write this down. I've given this to you so many times before, but in this context, it'll fit in good. That is, the average person has to hear something 7 times, 7 different ways, or from 7 different people before they get it. Let me say it again. You got to hear something 7 times, 7 different ways or from 7 different people before they get it. That's why when you hear me speak, I'm very repetitious when I'm speaking. It's on purpose, my friend. I'll say it this way, and then I'll come back and say the same thing a different way, and then I'll come back and say the same thing a different way. Why? Because sometimes for some of you, I'm going to be the 7 different ways. I've got to present it. See, if I understand that you got to hear something 7 times, I'm going to say it at least 7 times or more. If I can understand you got to hear it 7 different ways, then that means I'm committed to saying it this way and figuring out how to say it another way and another way and another way. Why? Because because if you got to hear it 7 times, 7 different ways from 7 different people. By the way, 777, that's 21. Hello. 21-day breakthrough challenge. That's scientifically, scripturally, and strategically designed with your breakthrough success in mind. But anyway, so 7 times, 7 different ways from 7 different people, and I'm going to do the best I can to be that 7 so that when you see it, I'm the one that you see it with. Are you with me? So I'm telling you, my friend, this is powerful information. This will help you. This will, first of all, you're going to be able to guard your mind against your negative part of your mind, right? Because there's a part of your mind that says, "Nah, we tried it." No. So now you're going to be able to guard. You're going to be able to again reset. You're going to be able now to say, you know what? Now I've been armed. I've been armed with some empowering information. Remember, folks knew better; they could do better. Well, now you know better. So now, my friend, you can do better. So again, it may take somebody getting on like we've got the pre-recorded calls, right? Get on the pre-recorded call. Get on the just again, understand 80% of sales are made between the 5th and the 12th contact. So the only thing I need to know as I close out, are you committed? Are you committed to not throwing in the towel, but making 5 to 12 or more different contacts with the same person? Now it's got to be spread over time, right? You can't, and again, it's going to be different sources. So you don't want to be like some pesky, you know what I mean? And again, there's a certain amount of population, like the personalities of Reds, like me. When I say no, like no is no. No to me is not. Yeah, I'm thinking about it. And no, so you got to understand. There's a certain group of us that's just it, right? However, sometimes additional information. Hello, somebody, or watch this now. Sometimes a change in our situation. Ooh, okay. I need to write that down. Somebody text that to me. Sometimes additional information or a change. Oh man, what was that? What did I just say? So additional information, and then a change in our situation, right? Now, instead of a no, you get a yes. Now, instead of I'm thinking about it or I'm not moving yet, now you get a yes. Why? Because you got the information that you needed, and now you're in a different situation that maybe says, I'm in a different situation now. And again, it may be the perspective. Again, maybe from looking at that 6, they go on the other side, and now they're looking at the 9. So I trust this has helped you, my friend. These breakthrough selling statistics has blessed you, opened up your mind, and empowered you, my friend, to get and experience the breakthroughs you desire and deserve.